next one that we would be now looking at the next, or I'd rather say, the next advantage of mass communication that we would be discussing now would be international trade. Now, how does mass communication actually help international trade? Well, when I'm wondering that, but mass communication is actually the only tool for creating foreign market of a product. So in a market economy, mass communication reaches a product's message across the world and creates a market for it. So just the way I said, the company is producing the example, just like I just gave you, the company is manufacturing soaps in Las Vegas, but it's selling it also in California, in Europe, and every other part of the world. How is it doing it? It is just going ahead and sending across motto, the intention of the company, the details of the product, the specifications. Now, if I have to give you an example, Apple is an American company, Apple iPhone. iPhones are American. However, are they being produced in America? No, they're being manufactured in China and different continents. Obviously, they have their offices all over different continents. So, these iPhones are being assembled in China, many of them. For at least for the Asian countries, they are manufacturing it and assembling it in China. Being an American company, Apple still manages to sell its products all over the globe. It's selling its product to everyone. We are getting updates about the new launches that Apple is launching, the new phones, the new tablets, the new iPads, the new MacBooks. We know it all. For Apple, it's international trade to sell it in any Asian, European, African country, anywhere apart from the US. But how do we people know about Apple? TV commercials and newspaper advertisements. So, even though Apple is an American company, yet it placed TV commercials and it also placed radio commercials and newspaper advertisements in India to create an awareness about it. What is Apple getting out of it? A lot of business, a lot of people buying the product. So, okay, when do you start Googling a product? When you hear the name, where do you hear the name? You hear the name either on TV or on radio. Yeah, of course, you can hear it from some friend as well, but you mostly hear it on TV, you hear it on radio, or you read it out in the newspaper. These are the three times when you ideally go ahead and get a new name and you start googling that name, you start searching for that name, you start knowing about the brand. But the seed of curiosity is sown by any of these form of mass communications. That's the TV, the newspaper, or the radio. Once you hear it out there, you feel that okay, this brand might have been a famous brand, and then you start looking forward towards the brand. You start looking at the details of the brand. International trade is something which benefits the country as well. It benefits the brand, it benefits the consumers. Brands usually use mass communication to, even in the form of say emails, they use it to go ahead and sell their products in different regions to create awareness about the products in different regions as a matter. And a lot of people come to know about the product and they start buying it. Most of the countries support international trade. Now these companies which are functional or which are into international trade are also known as multinational companies, MNCs, because they are placed over different nations. So multinational companies, for example, Apple, it's got its office uh, in Asia as well, and so on. Same example, if you look at about cars, you have BMW cars, you have Mercedes. Mercedes is what? Mercedes It's again not an Indian company, but you have it's a German car maker, Mercedes Benz. But still, you have Mercedes all over the world. You have Ferrari, you have Lamborghini, you have Hummer. These brands drive over different terrains. These brands produce different cars and they're sold. They have the international. You ask about Mercedes, and everyone's aware about Mercedes. There's no one who doesn't know about Mercedes. Why? Because Mercedes has created an awareness about its brand through mass media. So now you will find a lot of newspaper ads. Now there's a joke about these high profile, the costly things, I would say, like Mercedes. Now Mercedes or BMW or Audi, why don't they ever place ads on television, or why don't they ever really put a lot of ads on radio apart from the newspapers? Well, it's said that people who buy these kind of cars do not have so much time to watch television or do not have so much time to hear radio. They read the newspaper because to keep themselves updated about what's happening in the economy of the country and so on. But again, that is a fact. Think about it. I mean, people who actually own a Mercedes, do you think they have so much of time? No. Jokes apart, but again, my intention of saying this was just to tell you that you also, while you're choosing an international trade, you'd also need to choose the correct form of international trade. If you wish to sell something which is going to be very expensive or so on, you need to make sure that you use the right form. So, um, well, if it's a phone, yeah, it's a phone worth a lakh or 2 lakhs. I mean, it's a phone worth say 100,000 or $200,000. You can advertise it on the newspaper and you can advertise it on television. Someone hearing the radio, I don't think so, would actually purchase that phone. But if you have the television, is somewhat a must, because it has got about 97 to 98% cover all over the globe. Almost every household today has got a television, literate, illiterate, irrespective. So that's the best form of mass communication, is what I feel. However, as we were discussing about international trade, well, in order to start your trade in any country, you need to gain trust of people, especially international brands. And when you need to gain people's trust, you need to place a lot of advertisements, create a lot of brand awareness so that people know about your brand, and you communicate your brand's motto to them so that people are not foreigners to your brand and they know more about your brand and they choose your brand over other brands, right?